You see, Mothman, I think our experiment has been at least a partial success here. I mean, I did proof of concept, the main premise of putting down the tape and then painting over it. But oh, hey there, Jester here, and I'm here with the Mothman, and we were just doing a little experiment about, the trick where you put down masking tape on a painting and then paint over it to get a straight line. But then you always end up with like a little bit of paint kind of oozing underneath it. Well, Mothman and I tested something to see about making it not get that little paint ooze underneath. Well, we will show you via the magic of, rewinding the tape and showing you what we were up to. See you in the past. All right, as you can see, I have prepared 2 canvases. This one, I used gesso and then a white base layer, and then I put painter's tape over it in just a random sort of pattern. So I have very skinny painter's tape that I use specifically for art purposes. And then this one is a bit different because I put the tape on and then I painted over it again with the base layer. So I had seen a house painter do this to try to make it so that the paint doesn't leak underneath. And with this lighting, you can also see that I've already drawn a pattern onto it. I made a stencil of a comedy tragedy mask, and in theory, once it's done, it should have a sort of shattered effect. But I think I'm going to start with my white canvas, and what I'd like to do is kind of do a rainbow gradient using only primary colors just to see if I can. So I'm going to set my comedy mask aside for the moment. Get this all nice lined up. All right, so I'm going to start with I'm going to glop on some red along the top, and then a little bit along the bottom, because we're going to have to make purple at the end. And I'm using my my good art acrylics for this one because I want the paint to stay wet longer. The craft paint would dry a little quicker, but since I'm going to be mushing and moving stuff around, I want it to stay wet a little longer. So I'm going to put a whole lot of yellow on, because yellow is the weakest color of the 3 primary colors. The other ones will overpower it if I let them. And then got my blue. I hardly ever use, since I have my usual colors that I use. Blue is not one of them, even though I very much like blue. It's not one of our, what's the word? Brand colors. Yes. Okay, so let's start with the yellow. I'm going to make a nice yellow streak across here. Why is my brush leaving such thick lines? There we go. It might have just been a little stiff from whatever I did with it last. Might not have cleaned it correctly. So I bring my yellow across. Okay, I'm just gonna smear this off to the side in case I need it. All right, and I'm gonna give my brush a little clean. And then what color should I start to do next? Maybe let's start with the red. Why not? So I want this to be a nice bright red along the top. And then we're going to start mixing it with the yellow to hopefully make an orange. And I can get a little more yellow from the side. Yeah, it's fairly pretty. Okay, let's clean the brush a bit. All right, now we're going to work with the blue. I'm just going to smear that along there. Okay, and then I'm just going to put the extra blue off to the side. And I'm going to start mixing with the yellow till I get a green. There we go. Greening there. There we go. That's looking pretty good. Get another wash because we don't want yellow in with the... And I start blending this purple down at the bottom. Now I got this red at the bottom. I'm going to mix it with the blue. Make a purple. Want a little more blue in there. It's looking pretty nice. Put a little more blue on the blue streak there. And I think with the yellow, I'm gonna do a little more blending with that. I need to get this purple out of my brush first, because I don't want to muddy up my yellow. Okay. We mix those greens a little more. Kind of Straighten that out. That is not too bad, and a demonstration of, turning primary colors into secondary colors. I'm going to take this and I'm going to just set it aside for now. Now I'm going to work on my mask. So I'm going to get my white. And for this, well, yes, usually this putting down tape technique is good for just, doing a full, streak across sort of thing so that you're masking out areas, but doing things a little different here with my mask painting. See about following my stencil. I know is a couple of millimeters off center, and it's going to drive me nuts forever, but it's too late now. It looked good when I first laid it down, and then when I picked it up, I realized it wasn't quite right. But I need to stop worrying about perfection so much. It's one of my things. Don't always need to be perfect. They don't always need to be, even and perfectly aligned. We must permit a little bit of chaos in our life. Anyway, this is really just a proof of concept that the painting over the tape with the base layer will prevent it from leaking out and making messy lines. Since the black paint is there to act as a barrier to keep the white paint from going on underneath. As for this one, I had to very carefully lay out where the tape was because I wanted to make sure that it didn't interfere with the eyes and that the mouth could still be seen properly. I didn't want to lose any details. Oops, a little string on there. Still had to be identifiable as a comedy tragedy mask. And then since it's so small, since this is just a little canvas, I couldn't put too many pieces of tape on because I didn't want to obscure any details or go over anything important. It had to be, I just wanted to give it a bit of a shatter effect. So we'll see how that turns out once I remove all this. But I think I want to go over it again. Probably should have started with this one, then done the rainbow, so this had a chance to dry a little bit. Putting the second layer on, but I have committed, so I shall just keep going with this. And if I like how it turns out, I can always do it again. Maybe on a bigger canvas. And maybe it would look nicer if I actually, instead of making the mask flat white, maybe I could make it, Draw it more detailed, with shading and all. Give him a nose. Okay, that aside, put my tape away. All right, so I've got my mask. I'm going to set him aside now. And I'm going to get my rainbows back. And I'm going to start peeling tape. It would help if I remember what order I put these tapes on, but I did not. No, that one's going to come. Let's see. This one looks like come off straight. There we go. I got a little guy here. Okay. Maybe this one now. There we go. Okay, I've just got these two left. I want a little crossbeam guy. Come on, you. And then this last one. There we go. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So I shall swap out that and get my mask. How did I do you? Nope. So it wants to come off first. There we go. Oops. Carefully remove my tape. There we go. And that is the mask complete. Now, so what we're looking for here is, yeah, like you can see here, like that the red got under the tape there, or no, on this little bit here, you can see it's not perfectly straight, or, you know, up here there's a little bit sticking out. And overall, the lines are a little jagged. But on the mask, the lines are, you know, perfectly straight However, it's hard to see because it's black, but I can see where the tape was painted over. It's not visible possibly on screen, but I can see the lines where the paint was because it still leaves little ridges to the side where it would have built up a little bit. So that is, it's depending on what you're doing. If I wasn't doing if I had done this as a full piece, the tape lines would not be visible at all. But since I wanted to do something a little different, it ended up, not perfect. So probably what I will end up doing is just painting this over black again and then doing something else. But my rainbows I'm quite pleased with. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them. I feel like they need something, but I'm not sure what yet, so I'll just leave that and think about it later. But that has been our little experiment. So until next time, stay crafty.